My appeal to the international community, it is Basit Chaudhary, speaks. My dear friends, international organizations, all human rights activists and democracy-loving persons, let me appeal to all of you with the recent incidents of the insurgency over students in Bangladesh and huge killings commenced by the law enforcing agencies. As we are global citizens and the whole world is watching, and it is imperative that the human rights of Bangladesh should be protected. Let me express my grave concern over the recent violent crackdown on the ongoing quota reform protest in Bangladesh. I argue for the broader understanding, support and reactions from international communities and democratic world to take urgent steps and concrete actions to end the violence, ensure justice and accountability for the death of over 300 people during this protest. This number is increasing and death tolls are going high. What was the quota system? If I make it clear, it was introduced in 1972. Bangladesh quota system has gone through several changes. When it was abolished in 2018, 56% of government jobs were blocked under various quotas. Under the system, 44% of first and second class government jobs are nearly merit based. The remaining 56% are reserved for specific communities, 30% for the children and grandchildren of freedom fighters, 10% for women, 10% for backward districts, 5% for ethnic minorities, 1% for people with physical disabilities. Acts of events. The government refused to discuss the matter with the movement leaders initially. Hasina, the Prime Minister, said, why do they have so much resentment towards freedom fighters? If the grandchildren of the freedom fighters don't get quota benefits, should the grandchildren of Rajakars get the benefit? She asked at a news conference. She called the protesters Rajakar, an offensive term for those accused of collaborating with Pakistan's army in 1971 to betray the country. It was tactless behavior. In response, protesters chanted the slogan, who are you? Who am I? Rajakar, Rajakar, during a protest at Dhaka University. This role of the student wing of the government party. The protests turned violent following clashes between thousands of anti-quota demonstrators and members of the student wing of Hasina's Awami League. Police fired rubber bullets and hurled sound grenades and tear gas to scatter protesters. On July 15, when members of student wing of Hasina's Awami League reportedly attacked the unarmed students protesters with dangerous weapons and guns inside the Dhaka University campus. This ignited the movement in the whole country. Movement against discrimination has raised 9 points. Their 9-point demands include an apology from Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and the resignation of a few ministers. They are asking to get a trial for those who, including the Prime Minister, gave the order of killing. A group of them are asking even if the Prime Minister has to resign. EU criticizes excessive force of Bangladesh forces. During the protest, United Nations has initiated an investigation about using their symbols in the crackdown. A huge trauma occurred for the young students who are directly have been watching the horrific deaths, killings, atrocities and kidnapping of fellow students. A huge number are getting injured and losing their arms, legs, eyes and are in hospital beds, seeking treatments or struggling. Even there are police and student wing are attacking and beating them. What we are observing, authorities are violating human rights during this protest by unlawful use of force. Authorities resorted to unlawful use of lethal and less lethal weapons in the policing of protests, leading to more than a couple of hundreds of deaths. Security forces, including Rapid Action Battalion, RAB, the border guard, BGB, as well as the police have unlawfully used both lethal and less lethal weapons with 37 by 38 grenade launchers, shotguns, AK pattern assault rifles, Chinese type 56 assault rifles, and tear gas against protesters. These are verified by Amnesty International. It must be mentioned that RAB was sanctioned by the United States in 2021 after widespread allegations of serious human rights abuses. Even the military has gone into a crackdown with vehicles written for the United Nations. Arbitrary arrests and detentions are ongoing. The security forces have conducted raids and a mass arrest targeting student and opposition activists across the whole country. One source says more than 3,500 students have been detained arbitrarily. The authorities imposed a total shutdown of the internet on the 18th of July, and it was partially lifted on 23rd of July in some parts. Educational institutions are fully closed. Callous violence. It is alleged that the law enforcing agencies committed disregard for the life to uphold their obligations under domestic and international human rights law. It is appealing to the international community that the United Nations conducts a thorough, effective, independent, and impartial investigation into the deaths and injuries during the crackdown. Those who are found responsible for the unlawful use of force must be held accountable for their vicious crime. Guarantee protection of the rights of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression in accordance with the Constitution of Bangladesh and international human rights standards. Your cooperation and timely stand might help to restore public confidence in the rule of law and may enhance the country to demonstrate toward its commitment to human rights and democracy. Please extend your support to convey a dialogue to break a political deadlock, and it may help us to open a path of transition to a neutral interim government who may be able to conduct a free and fair election inclusive of the Awami League. I ask for the international community to save lives in Bangladesh, help protect the human rights and democratic rights, and ask for justice and fair trial for the killers of the innocent students. An important part is conforming to minor infants, girl students, and even from the minorities. House of Commons have discussed this issue. The United Nations and European Parliament is aware of all that is happening. Let us begin with the voice raising for the downfall of the dictator and notorious fascist Hasina, and raise a debate in national and international levels. Make people more aware with the newspapers and social media, and take your individual role by condemning this illegal regime on all levels. Please save Bangladesh and save lives in Bangladesh. It may incite a bloody civil war in Bangladesh, which may demand uncountable figure of lives. Before it happens, please act and stop an imminent civil war. Civil population of Bangladesh are in real danger. Please act now. My appeal to the international community, please save lives and act now. This is what I should say. Thank you very much.